Sometimes pets have accidents, and sometimes they leave a mess behind, and the owners are embarrassed, and the dogs are embarrassed. And then what do you do? So I was really excited when I found Allie Smith today and that she was going to be able to come on our show. And the reason I was excited is because she has trained over 1,200 dogs. So she used to be a pet sitter, and then she moved into being a pet trainer. And she's got one of the best dog blogs that is up and running right now. And so she's got a wealth of information for us. And she's the owner of a company called Remarkable. Isn't that a cool name? So please help me welcome Allie Smith to our show. How are
Hi.
you today?
Good. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to get the opportunity to talk to your audience because I think, we all love our animals and we all want the best for them. And it's going to be a really interesting one to dive into.
Many dogs will go outside and do their business outside, then they run back in the house. And if it's been raining or it's muddy outside, they'll just track all that stuff
Hmm.
into your house. Do you have any suggestions on how to keep a house clean when a dog runs back in enthusiastically from being outside and kind of shakes the head and it goes all over and they've got mud prints everywhere?
Yeah, so there's two real main points, right? You've got the paws and then the body. The paws, get a stupidly absorbent bath mat. It's my best tip for that one. You kind of want something that as soon as they hit it, it absorbs as much as possible, right? And
Okay.
if that can happen, usually that's your bath mat.
Is that going to be a rubber backed bath mat?
I would do a rubber backed bath mat, and it doesn't need to be anything special, just as absorbent as you can. And then you've got things like drying coats, which you can't really see, but essentially it goes over the back, up the neck, and there's a tummy strap that goes in, under, and around.
Is this something that the dog wears or do
Yes,
you just kind of wrap them? Okay.
it's kind of basically a robe for dogs. So as soon as they sort of come in from outside where it's pouring with rain or a swimming session, anything like that, throw that on them, belt it round, and they can just trot around the house. And every time they shake, it just kind of helps dry them off and keeps all the mess within the robe effectively. And you can just throw
What
it
a
in the
great
wash.
idea.
Ah, I tell you what, dog people are geniuses with this sort of stuff because they don't like it.
So there's mud that where the dogs shake their head and it kind of flies
Mhm.
everywhere. Tell me a little bit, if you will, about dog slobber, where dogs just slobber and then it's like got protein and enzymes in it and it's really hard to clean up and you wipe it up and then there's still traces of it and all that stuff. How do you clean up that?
That one is a really good question. Mine aren't too slobbery. You can train dogs though to actually wipe their mouth. So you can actually train that behavior so that they deal with it themselves before it goes all up the wall.
And how do you do that? What is the process for that?
So one of the best ones I've seen, and it's a silly video, but it works, is a Great Dane that every time after he's drinking, they've got a bowl beside the water bowl with essentially like a hand towel, like strung around another bowl that's right beside it. And they're like, wipe your
Mhm.
mouth. And he literally just goes over and goes, swish, swish, gets all the stuff in the jowls and is done. It's basically just you'd have to lure them to the area, bring their face down and go one across, two across, and then reward for that. And
Uh-huh.
pair it with a cue, slowly fade out the treat. It's fussy, but it's one of those things that can make your life a lot easier. In terms of cleaning, though, I usually find like hot soapy water, but it also depends on the surface, right? Because, like, if
Mhm.
you've got it on like chalk paint, you don't want to be putting hot soapy water on chalk paint because it's just going to start like absorbing it. And yeah, so that one I would dictate more by the surface than the material, if that makes sense.
Well, I love the fact that you train a dog. I never thought about training a dog not to
Yeah.
slobber and not to just kind of like spew it all over the walls
Yeah.
because once it dries on the walls, it
Mm,
becomes hard
mm,
and it's like hard and crunchy. If you're going to scrape it off, you can scrape it off with a plastic razor. But because of the
mm,
proteins that are inside, it still leaves a little mark, like a little,
mm.
almost like a grease stain on the wall. And so, depending on the dog and depending on the slobber, it can be really hard to clean up.
Do you know the other one that is I'm gonna try and remain as professional as possible in this discussion, but the other one that is awful to clean up is the male dog smegma. Because when you get a male puppy or you leave your dog intact, they do tend to do the exact same thing that teenage boys do. And that is particularly not easy to get off of any sort of fabric surface. So, like a fabric sofa, which the dog might climb up onto and curl up with mum and dad in the evening, tends to get these weird little marks on it. And the dog parents usually like, I have no idea where this is coming from. And it's like, it's your boy dog. Ta-da! Welcome to having nails. Yeah.
How do you get that up?
Again, I've found like a biological either soap or dish soap works really well because it kind of cuts into that. It's
Okay.
kind of gross, but it's one of those things that does happen.
So in America, we have a product
Mhm.
called Odoban Biostain and Odor Remover. And
Mm.
it's actually an enzymatic cleaner
Yeah.
that breaks down the proteins.
Mm.
And so oddly enough, while it's wonderful for pets, as house cleaners, we use it for like ring around the collar and underarm
Oh,
sweats and stuff like that for
really?
people. Yeah. But it's
That's
really, really good for pets because it's clear. So you're
yeah,
talking about the fabric that
yeah.
then has like stains on it, but it will clear up those stains, and then also because of the enzymes, it eats up the odors as it cleans.
Do you know,
So
I've
that's
never
a
actually considered using, like, the same stuff that I would use for removing pee, so I often recommend Nature's Miracle as well. That's also a
oh,
really
yeah, uh-huh.
solid one.
There are cleaners that
Mm,
are really good for protein stains, and what we don't realize is, like, when a baby spits up,
mm.
oftentimes that's the same as, like, if a cat pukes, they're protein stains, and so there are different enzymes that are in the human
Yeah,
body or
yeah,
an animal body that when it comes out, you're like, "Wow, that smells really bad, it looks bad," and then it left a mark after we tried to clean it up.
yeah.
So, would you use the same thing for cats? Like, if you have a cat that pukes and eats a hairball and then
Puke, yes. Hairballs, yes. Male cat pee is different. Male cat pee tends to have this long-lasting property that is quite stubborn to get rid of. So the best things I've sort of seen are like your OxyCleans and like your oxygen bombs and things like that. And also the oxygen bomb actually for like if you've got wooden floor that a pee stain is like sunk into, they can be
Mhm.
really, really good at that.
For those that are new to the oxygen bomb, tell me a little bit about what that is and how somebody would use it on a hardwood floor, because we get that question a lot.
So yeah, for us, it was basically just like a powder solution that went on it and kind of just left it there for a while with a bit of water. And then it just kind of fizzed and slowly pulled all of this pea residue, I suppose, out of the wood. And it was really effective. I was really, really surprised, if I'm being honest. And we never actually ended up sanding our floors.
So when you used it then, did it discolor the floor or did it remove any varnish or anything from the
Um,
floor or no?
It didn't for us, but we did use it on a particularly mild one, and we kinda did a few mild applications as opposed to, like, a big, big hit because, again, I was trying to be really cautious and not remove the varnish because, it's the original floor that was built with the house, and I was like, "I'm
Hmm.
gonna have a real tough time trying to color match that if I wanna do a small patch," so
This has been really highly interesting. Thank you so much, Allie,
no
for joining
problem.
us today and for having this conversation. I want to thank all of you guys that joined us and have all of your comments here. If there's anything we missed, because we do have some here about anxiety and what happens with your dog, we will answer those questions for everybody that's watching the replay and also for those of you that joined us that we didn't get your questions answered. Thanks again for today. Until we meet again, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.
Thanks very much for having me.